a lot of y'all may be familiar with Spencer Lackey, but not so much. I missed his whole social media wave and what he did and all of that type of stuff like that. So I'm anxious to get into this story breakdown of the nightmare world of Spencer Lackey. All right, so I jumped to where they start talking because the beginning, she was talking about previous videos. So I wanted to jump right to getting started to the video. Let's get to it.
And this is exactly why I'm covering the work of Spencer Lackey. I believe I first stumbled upon his content on TikTok sometime in 2023, and what a shock it was. I'd be mindlessly scrolling through brain rot, and suddenly I was confronted with stuff like this. Hey.
What is wrong with him, man? I already don't like where this is going. I'm bracing myself for jump scares. I don't like this.
Ugh. This is the type of stuff that Spencer, at least as of right now, is mostly known for. With nearly 2 million followers on TikTok and an Instagram presence that trails not far behind, it's safe to say that this creator is definitely making an impact in the world of short-form, punchy scares. So much so that I've even come across a couple smaller creators who seem directly influenced by Spencer. While I think it's a disservice for someone like me to attempt to summarize a creator's entire body of work, I nonetheless have to try for the sake of this video. Clicking through any of Spencer's pages feels oddly out of body, this dark, vibey, eerily quiet, atmospheric, uncomfortable nightmare that you just can't really turn away from. All of this—
Right, like he's better than, just off of the little small clip I've seen so far, bro, he's better at this than some of the horror movies that I've seen lately. Like, I'm so against horror movies these days because I don't feel like it's nothing horror about them. But just within those few clicks, he had me like bracing myself. Like, he's good.
This often culminates in the appearance of some twisted, unnatural being that, horrifyingly enough, seems to live right alongside Spencer, who is almost always playing the starring role in his own content. On top of these straight-up uncanny vibes, you'll also find a setting that's just— I cannot even explain it. Without sounding mean, because I really do not mean to be, it seems like Spencer just happens to live in, like, the most cursed house imaginable. I'm sure it mostly has to do with chosen lighting, editing, and all that jazz, but why is this house so creepy? It's like a goldmine for an independent creator wanting to make stories centered around an unrelenting haunted house. Most, if not all, of Spencer's content is shot in this one location, and you would think that would get old, but nope, it somehow just works. Now, Spencer's short-form content seems to mostly be standalone pieces, but sometimes they do fall into themes, usually organized into playlists bearing names like Forbidden, Dreamscapes, Hellscapes, etc. Content that seems inspired by a common prompt, but don't necessarily share a storyline. But what I want to look at right now is a series Spencer put out called ASL. ASL is distinct from the rest of Spencer's work, at least from what I can tell. Again, what he's most known for on TikTok are these usually one-off, quick but effective horror shorts that are prime 1-minute TikTok material. ASL, on the other hand, can be found on YouTube and definitely lends itself more to that platform. For one, there's 4 distinct narratively connected episodes ranging in length from a couple minutes to about 5, which may not sound like it's all that different from TikTok, but trust me, the extra couple minutes does open up plenty of avenues to explore. Instead of quick one-offs, we've got much more of a story going on here. A non-linear one, but a story nonetheless. One that I haven't seen too many people really chew on and try to figure out, so that's what I'd like to do here with you today. First, we're going to recap each episode, analyze the series, then talk about what might be coming next for Mr. Lackey. Of course, I absolutely implore you to watch all of this for yourself and then come back. Trust me, you do not want this ruined by me explaining it. There's a 15 or so minute compilation of all the episodes, so it'll be really no time at all. Now, assuming that you've gone and come back, back, let us take a look at episode 1. The first installment in this series opens with text, and this is the first time we see the name of our main character, Victor Torrance. The following are a collection of computer logs found on Victor Torrance's hard drive, paired with corresponding video footage from his camcorder. Everything has been edited together in an effort to aid the ongoing investigation. So already we're left wondering what happened. What we're looking at is technically a collection of found footage presented by someone else, but not by Victor himself. What exactly is he being investigated for, and by who? Text places us on Tuesday, November 25th, 1997, and what we see next is a static image of a door along with text that reads, 9:02 a.m. The first thing I noticed was that my brother's door was still closed. Normally he gets up before me. The next image features a bathroom. At first, I paid it no mind. I showered, brushed my teeth, and went downstairs. We now see a kitchen counter. My mom left me a thermos full of coffee, like she always does. But she was gone. The next image is of a bed, neatly made, but empty. I don't know where any of them are. What we see here next is a chat log, something that'll become a running theme throughout the series. The bottom corner of the image bears a New Jersey police insignia, cluing us into the fact that this may actually be the police who are running this investigation, and if so, then Victor likely did something very, very bad. The chat conversation is specifically between two individuals, but it's never clarified who they are exactly. One username, highlighted in blue, seems to read Beelzebubba, a play on Beelzebub, and in red is a user called Sumacito613. It's unclear what the two might have been talking about before or after this particular point in the conversation, but Beelzebubba asks when the two of them will get to meet. Sumacito613 says soon with a smiley face. Beelzebubba replies with, I love you, which seems to go unreciprocated by the other party. We abruptly switch back to static images and text, this time of an open fridge door. 12:06 p.m. Still nobody home. I asked my neighbor if she knew where they went, but she had no clue. We next see a phone, along with text of Victor wondering if he should call the police. We then skip to 9 p.m. Someone, presumably Victor, is standing at the entrance to his basement, looking down and not seeing, but hearing something that is anything but good. Some kind of screaming crossed with this guttural growl.
I ain't gonna lie, fam, that almost made me go turn every light in my house on right now. Like, bro, did you hear that? Man, listen, bro. Bro, I almost lit everything up in here and lit candles, bro.
Labored breathing can also be heard, which I can assume is just supposed to be Victor panicking. 11 p.m. Victor is now in what appears to be his room, the screaming still ongoing and now seemingly right outside of his door. I can't sleep. I don't know where they are. Tomorrow I'll call the police. Episode 2. This entry opens up with Victor speaking directly to the camera about who he is and what he aspires to eventually become. The timestamp reads February 7th, 1997, several months before the events of the first episode, which took place in November that same year.
Hi, my name is Victor Torrance. I'm a 17-year-old filmmaker from New Jersey, currently aiming to study at Tisch School of the Arts for filmmaking. I'm really into documentary filmmaking, portraying life in as real a lens as possible, because I believe that's the truest way to make you feel something, like intrigue or love, or fear. So, fuck.
We now return to November 1997. This time it's 26, one day after the events of the first episode. Through various images, we're shown that not much has changed. It's 9:06 a.m., and Victor's brother's door is still closed, the parents' bed still untouched. But oddly enough, a fresh thermos full of coffee is left on the kitchen counter, just like the day before. More chat logs then appear. This time we get the idea that Beelzebubba and Sumacido 613 might be in some kind of budding relationship rather than things being one-sided. Sumacido is asked to mail another picture, to which they agree. Beelzebubba says they can't stop thinking about Sumacido, to which they respond, "Never stop thinking about me." Of course, at this point, we can only assume that the user called Beelzebubba is Victor Torrance, but we have no clue who the other person is. Whoever they are, Victor seems smitten with them and has even gotten pictures from them, and he even dropped an "I love you" in the previous chat log. Whatever this is, it seems to be rather serious. Up next, we get another text entry. 9:30 p.m. I spent the day milling around the house. My parents are still gone. My brother is still gone. Out of boredom, I rummaged through old video footage on my camcorder. I'm noticing something strange on one of the tapes.
Hi, my name is Victor Torrance. I'm a 17-year-old filmmaker from New Jersey, currently aiming to study at...
Yo, what the heck did y'all see that the first time? Nah, I need to go back. What is this, 11:54? I gotta go back, bro. Was that there the whole... It was there the whole time last time. I did not notice that. Bro. I did not notice that. That's crazy. That head was there the entire time. Holy. Yo. That's messing me up. All right. I'm going back. He messed me up with that one. I'm going back. Jeez.
The tapes.
Hi, my name is Victor Torrance. I'm a 17-year-old filmmaker from New Jersey, currently aiming to study at Tisch School of the Arts for filmmaking. I'm really into documentary filmmaking, portraying life in as real a lens as possible, because I believe that's the truest way to make you feel something, like intrigue or love.
After this, we once again see Victor standing at the stairs to his basement. Footsteps suddenly sound as though they're charging his way, and we cut to text. Tomorrow. A call to police. Tomorrow. Episode 3. The date is now Thursday, November 27th, 1997, one day after where we left off. We get a shot of a window. The text reads, 6:07 a.m. Can't sleep. Next is a video diary from Victor himself.
It is 6 a.m. on November 27th.
I don't care. I'm looking all around the room now. You ain't getting me again like that. I'm looking every corner of this frame to make sure I don't see a face, head, arm, something.
1997. Happy Thanksgiving. My family has been gone for 3 days now. I should have called the police 2 days ago, but I just kept holding on to hope that they'd come back if something crazy happened, but it's stupid. I need to tell somebody. I had a nightmare, and it woke me up, and I couldn't go back to sleep. I was in my basement, and it was pitch black, and it was hot like a furnace, and there was this light down this hallway, and I went down the hallway, and I came across this white door, and I opened the white door. Right when I opened it, I got this pang of terror in my gut, because I knew something was wrong. So I opened the door, and then a couple of feet ahead of me, there's another door, and it's closed, and there's light seeping through the cracks, and I knew something was waiting for me behind that door. And I was so overcome with fear and
Note that in this clip, Victor talks about nightmares he was having and how his family is still missing before he...
Is anybody else thinking that maybe he did something to them, his family? And he's just blocked it out of his mind or something? Maybe. It don't feel right.
Can go on, something grabs his attention, and the video log abruptly ends. We're treated to more chat logs next, and in them, Victor sounds panicked. He pleads with Sumacito to come over right now because he needs someone. Sumacito reassures Victor that everything is okay, to which Victor says that he's scared and feels like he's losing his mind, but doesn't specify why exactly. Sumacito asks Victor if he wants them to come over right now, and wraps up the conversation by saying that they'll be there in just a few hours. Another text entry is next. 7:30 a.m. I keep hearing noises throughout the house. Footsteps, pots clanging, people whispering. Sometimes I hear screaming. I've stayed holed up in my room. In a desperate attempt to reduce my anxiety, I went rummaging through footage from an old Betamax I got for Christmas a few years ago. We see a couple images along with obvious captions, a Christmas tree, a night sky, but then we get this. Flames, titled Self-Portrait Unknown. Victor says that he doesn't remember filming this last tape, nor does he remember the tape he found beside it. As usual, we get another abrupt switch, this time to a content warning via the local authorities who put this all together. The following footage contains graphic and disturbing imagery. This episode concludes with a continuation of the last chat conversation between Sumacito and Victor. How far away are you? Victor asks, to which Sumacito says, I'm here. Episode 4, the finale. At the start of Episode 4, things, for lack of better term, seem to have hit the fan.
Breaking news. Local Morristown authorities discovered 3 bodies in a residential basement after tracing an anonymous call. The victims are identified as Daniel and Elaine Torrance, along with their eldest son, Brian. Victor Torrance, the youngest son, is currently in police custody. Authorities found overwhelming evidence indicating Victor Torrance's culpability, mainly in the form of computer diary logs and camcorder tapes. Our condolences extend to the family and friends of the victims. The ongoing investigation is capturing significant nationwide attention, marking it as one of New Jersey's most chilling crimes.
Around 3:30 p.m., Officer Carl Ramirez and I were dispatched to a distress call at a residence in Quail Meadows, Morristown. Upon arrival, we heard screaming coming from within the house. We forced entry and found the suspect weeping in the basement, huddled over 3 victims. When he noticed us, he frantically motioned towards an empty corner, insisting someone there had murdered his family. From my recollection, he said, "She did this. She lied to me. She this." Unclear. There was nobody else there. We quickly apprehended the suspect and called for an ambulance, but we knew the victims were long dead. We found a blood-soaked knife in the sink, which we presumed to be the murder weapon. The dry blood staining the porcelain indicated that the crime had been committed days before. We also found a VHS tape on the floor labeled Sumacito 613. Suspect claimed he didn't know anything about it.
We learn from the police.
Told y'all, I just felt like he was off. He was off. The way he was staring at the screen, talking, it just seemed like he was somewhere else. And it's almost like one of those split personality cases. Remember the movie Split? And and every time you flash the light, a different person come to the light. It seemed like that in a sense. That's what it seemed like. Yo, whoo. Yeah, that was crazy. That's crazy. So who was he communicating? Was he communicating with himself through those logs?
Report that Victor Torrance allegedly murdered his entire family, and at the scene was a VHS tape bearing the same name as whoever has been chatting with Victor online. What we see next is the contents of said tape.
Im Namen deines den Jungfrau, im Namen Jesu. Ich
Hi, my name is Victor Torrance. I'm entering life as real.
Oh, he's sick. Oh, you a different type of sick. You a psycho sicko.
What we see after this is the final chat transcript, once again picking up from where we last left off. Victor asks, "How far are you?" Sumacito says they're here, and when asked for clarification, they're not outside, but instead in the basement. The final moments of episode 4 reveal the last known recorded footage still on Victor's camcorder, dated November 28th. It was shot the same day of his arrest.
Down here. Victor, I'm down here. Over here, Victor.
Yeah, that's right. I heeded to the warning. I saw a jump scare warning at the bottom and braced myself. You weren't finna just get me like that. Whew. Thought it was gonna be worse though, I cannot lie to you.
And now it's analysis time. So there is quite a bit to unpack here, and I figured it'd be best to just jump straight in. Again, the story of Victor Torrance takes place over 4 days in November of 1997, and right off the bat, there are a few questions about the timeline. Since it's revealed in episode 4 that the Torrance family was dead and had already been so for a couple of days, we can assume that this is why Victor thought that they were missing. They weren't missing, they were just dead in the basement. If so, however, then who exactly was leaving the thermoses of fresh coffee on the first 2 days? From where I'm standing, there could be a couple of different ways to possibly look at it. At first, I thought that maybe the mother or someone might have still been alive for the first couple of days, but of course that doesn't exactly line up with Victor's own claims of everyone going missing. Then again, I think that everything our main character says needs to be taken with a grain of salt since, and I'm assuming that we can all agree on this here, Victor is an unreliable narrator. Does that mean that he's guilty? Not exactly. Based on everything we see throughout the series, Victor does seem to have some level of memory loss or lack of grasp of reality. For all we know, he could have been making his own coffee and just had no recollection of doing so. In episode 3, Victor talks about having nightmares, of the basement and this door that's emitting light. Was this even a dream at all, or did Victor just mistake it as such? There's really no way to know, and when it comes to the story of ASL, all we can really go off of is the evidence compiled in each episode. When Victor is found by police, he claims that he's innocent and blames her for the death of his family, for lying to him. Now, this she, we can all assume, is Sumacito613, the user seen in the chat logs. By November of 1997, the two seem to have already been talking for quite some time, despite having never met in person. Now, ASL, of course, refers to age, sex, location, and was commonly used in the days of chat rooms as almost an introduction between two parties. In episode 1, we see that Victor was already at the point of saying, "I love you" to whoever Sumacito613 is, and in episode 2, we learn that this person even sent pictures to Victor. By all accounts, it seemed that these two were in a budding long-distance relationship of sorts. But who exactly is Sumacito613? Whoever or whatever they are, they seem to be some kind of malevolent paranormal being. A part of me was wondering early on if perhaps the twist of ASL was going to be that it was all in Victor's head, but the tapes do appear to imply otherwise, that there was some outside entity who made their way into this teenager's life only to ruin it. One way or another, this entity seemed to be able to play with Victor's mind, and that brings me to a very important question. Did Victor Torrance kill his family or not? By that I mean, could this entity have possessed Victor and carried out these acts while using him as a vessel, or did Sumacito do this on their own, leaving Victor essentially framed?
That could be the she he was talking about when he was like, "I didn't do this, she did." The she that he was communicating with in that chat room. Possibly. I don't know. I'm still trying to do the same thing and dissect it. We clearly know he was off. I could see that just by his demeanor. He was very, very off. But what caused him to do something, block it out, or jump inside of him and do, I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Could Sumacito have possessed some other members of the family, and could they have killed each other in the basement? While on the topic of possession, there are a couple of interesting things to point out. One, as we know, Victor's username in the chat logs was this, which resembles Beelzebub. While digging around, I noticed some people saying that Sumacito could be an anagram for Asmodeus, and in case you've never heard Year Zero by Ghost, you may have no idea what any of these words mean, so allow me to explain, aka condense Wikipedia down to bite-sized pieces. Also, quick side note, I'm really excited for right here, right now. While it can get a little complicated due to the history at play here, Beelzebub and Asmodeus are generally recognized as demons, with some people even using Beelzebub and Satan interchangeably, even if that's not the most accurate. This all gets into thousands of years of mythology, religion, folklore, literature, etc., so while there's no single definitive source on the topic, certain classification systems link demons with specific sins, Beelzebub sometimes linked with gluttony, and Asmodeus to lust. Now, I do want to remind everyone that the whole Asmodeus thing might just be complete coincidence in Sumacito's name, but if this is indeed an anagram for this lust demon, then that would make all the sense thematically speaking, since it appears that Sumacito targeted someone who was looking for love. As for the use of Beelzebub in Victor's username, I'm sure that could be taken a few different ways. If we're going with the gluttony angle, for example, it could be getting at how Victor is hungry for things, be it attention from his art, or the attention of his supposed online girlfriend. Another bit of information that seems to lend itself to this idea is something we hear almost from the jump. If you recall, in episode 1, we hear this. Now,
See, hearing that is what made me think of possessions. He was possibly possessed by something or everything, or something down there in the house. You know, if you've ever watched any of those movies, it can be built on something that's demonic, that causes the possession that's of somebody living in the house. You don't know. You just never know. But that could be the case with him.
I have no idea if I'm just way too deep into the spooky brain rot, but this to me immediately sounded like some kind of exorcism, and I think I may have found the audio where it came from. Maybe not the exact moment, but at least to me, it does appear to be from the same recording.
Was fressen du jetzt nicht?
Noch mehr.
Jetzt ihr mal! Ja, die Kirche brennt, musst du wieder hinein!
Again, I am not sure if it's just me, so let me know in the comments if I'm way off or not. But anyway, like I said a second ago, I could see a version of events where Sumacito actually possessed Victor's family, which is why in episode 1 we hear these demonic-sounding noises coming from the basement and outside Victor's door. Without seeing things firsthand, though, we can't say for sure, but there is one more major thread here I want to discuss. As we've already covered, it seemed that Victor and Sumacito had been communicating for quite some time, although we have no idea exactly how long. Everything paranormal seemed to happen in those 4 days we experienced via ASL's 4 episodes, aside from 2 very specific outliers. One, of course, was from episode 2, where we see an old video log from February 1997, and a face appears behind Victor as he's speaking directly to the camera. The second instance is the tape featuring a flame titled Self-Portrait, the one that Victor has no memory of filming back in 1994. These 2 clips make me wonder a few things. Was Sumacito already around as far back as 1994? My gut tells me that it's unlikely, but then if not, why does Victor have no memory of this footage? The same questions apply to the February 1997 vlog, but the reveal that this is Victor's dead brother leads me to believe that maybe this footage was altered after the family had been killed. In my head, it would work something like a ghostly projection of sorts, which is maybe how the footage in the Sumacito 613 videotape came to be, that being the videotape that was found by police that features twisted versions of the Torrance family. Again, this is all just speculation, and there isn't really anything in the series that gives us concrete answers. For all we know, Victor Torrance could actually just be a deranged amateur filmmaker who threw this entire narrative together as some sort of weird fantasy that went too far. And while I hope most things remain steeped in mystery, it would be also extremely interesting to see what comes out of Volume 2 of this series, because yes, episodes 1 to 4 are labeled as Volume 1. Will there even be a Volume 2? It seems implied, but for now we have no idea. Overall, I found ASL to be incredibly captivating, but there are a couple things I can see people bringing up in an attempt to write it off. One thing would be the jump scares, which I do actually have some thoughts on. Horror is, of course, subjective, so this is just how I see things. ASL, along with the rest of Spencer's work, does contain a fair amount of jump scares, but to me, they're the right type. I find the problem with jump scares in Hollywood to be that they're essentially all certain movies have going for them. They arrive with an uninspired premise, lackluster characters, and zero atmosphere. They deliver a jump scare and call it a day in most cases, but as I already outlined before, this is absolutely not the case for Spencer's work. Every second here is uncanny, eerie, uncomfortably quiet. When a jump scare does happen, again, at least for me, it feels like it's placed with deep intent, and it also feels earned.
Exactly. Imagine watching his videos home by yourself, late at night, in the dark, and your entire house is quiet. Like, those jump scares are gonna hit so hard. Like, he's really good. He got this. Like, I want to see more of his work spread out over time. I can't take too much of it back. You know what I mean? Like, no, it needs slowly. But yeah, I'm with her on that. Everything is perfect, and the build up to it makes it even better.
As for the other bit of criticism I see people might come to is that these videos feel cheesy or low budget, and I'm like, yeah, they're definitely low budget, but that's like most of their charm. As someone who is making horror shorts with a camcorder at 8 years old, I adore seeing what people can do with a camera in free time at home, without studios, sponsors, or anything else really there to muddy the waters. As a horror fan, stuff like ASL and other independent online productions have added an entirely new genre for me to explore, and to be honest, I feel like a lot of you watching here right now, especially if you made it this far into the video, can relate to that. In fact, for any of you horror nerds who are here right now, I'm sure that you've noticed quite a bit of horror movie inspiration in Spencer's work, be it The Shining, The Ring, maybe even Sinister, I think, and probably much more if you watch all of his TikTok content. So, having said all this, I'm looking forward to whatever Spencer Lackey has up his sleeve, which from what I understand right now is actually a horror film called You Are Here. The film is currently at 81% of its crowdfunding goal, with a summary that reads, "You Are Here is the story of a young man who gets trapped in a world built from memories. Think Dreamcore backrooms footage meets liminal spaces." The film follows Spencer, a young man who finds himself locked out of his suburban home. As he passes the time walking around his neighborhood, it becomes apparent that things aren't as they seem. Bright, hazy colors, strange noises. Everything is a little off. Suddenly, with a turn of his head, he's somewhere else completely. He turns his head again, somewhere new. Again and again and again. A forest, a dock, an abandoned office. Still the abandoned office. He turns his head again, but it doesn't work. He's stuck, and it soon's become apparent that he's not alone. Now, guys, needless to say, I'll definitely be tuning in when this film comes out, and I hope you will too.